After Eddie Griffin's emotional comments went viral, everything shifted. The silence that had surrounded Malcolm for so long finally cracked and people started paying attention, not just to the words, but to the pain behind them. Social media lit up with fans sharing old clips, interviews, and episodes of The Cosby Show. But this time, people weren't just watching for nostalgia. They were listening to his tone, his eyes, his quiet way of carrying himself. They saw how often he smiled through discomfort, how he joked when things got too real. It was like everyone finally realized that the person behind Theo had been quietly suffering all along. But Eddie's words weren't meant to just bring sympathy. They were a call to action. A reminder that fame doesn't protect people from pain. If anything, it often hides it better. And when that pain builds up, it doesn't always explode, it can just disappear. That's what happened to Malcolm. He didn't go out with some dramatic meltdown or a viral rant. He just pulled back. One appearance here, a small role there. A quiet Instagram post. Then nothing. And that's what made his story so heartbreaking. Because he was still alive. Still breathing. Still wanting to be seen not as a character, but as a man. After Eddie's podcast, more stories began to surface. People who had worked with Malcolm in the past started opening up. One producer said Malcolm used to stay late on set, not because he had to, but because he didn't want to go home. A stagehand remembered how he would bring books to set and sit alone in his trailer between scenes. Another friend shared how Malcolm once said, "People think I'm lucky, but I feel like I got trapped in a dream that wasn't mine." That hit a nerve with a lot of folks. Because how many times have we seen this happen? Talented, bright young stars getting swallowed by a system that only loves them when they're profitable. Once they age out, speak up, or stop playing along, they're cast aside. And if they try to come back, it's already too late. The spotlight has moved on, and the world forgets. But now, people are remembering. They're finally understanding what Malcolm was going through. He wasn't broken, he was exhausted. Exhausted from having to explain himself. From trying to prove that he was more than a childhood role. From carrying the weight of expectations that were never really his to begin with. And maybe, just maybe, it's not too late to honor him the right way. Not with empty tributes or flashy memorials, but with real conversations. With a change in how we treat Black artists. With compassion. With truth. With space to be human. Because Eddie was right, you can be famous and still invisible. Loved, yet unheard. So now the question is, what do we do with that truth? Do we go back to forgetting until the next tragedy reminds us? Or do we take this moment to really look around, to really listen to those who've been quietly fading into the background? Malcolm didn't ask for fame. He didn't chase it. It came to him when he was young and never let go. And when he tried to reshape his own life, the world didn't know how to accept that. They wanted Theo. But Malcolm needed to be himself. Let that be the lesson. Let this be the moment we stop confusing the character with the person. Because behind every bright smile on screen is someone who still goes home with doubts, pain, and hopes of their own. Malcolm deserved better. And if we're being honest, so do all the artists who've been pushed aside, told they're difficult, or made to feel like they're not enough just because they spoke their truth. Eddie Griffin didn't speak up for attention. He spoke because he couldn't keep quiet anymore. And maybe it's time we stop being quiet too. Let's check in on the ones who used to shine the brightest. Let's ask the hard questions. Let's stop waiting until it's too late to show we care. Because real love isn't in the applause, it's in what happens after the stage lights go out. And for Malcolm-Jamal Warner, those quiet moments off stage told the real story. And now the world is finally starting to hear it. As the days passed, more voices started to speak up. Former co-stars, producers, even musicians who once crossed paths with Malcolm-Jamal Warner came forward not with empty praise, but with honesty. They admitted they saw the changes. They noticed the sadness in his eyes, the quiet way he pulled back, the way he slowly disappeared from the spotlight. And yet, nobody said a word. He wasn't acting out. He wasn't in the tabloids. He wasn't causing problems. So people assumed he was okay. But he wasn't. He was fading right in front of everyone, and the silence around him was louder than any scream. Many former child stars echoed Eddie Griffin's heartbreaking truth. They shared their own stories about being blacklisted, about being labeled difficult for simply asking to be treated with respect, about being replaced without warning or told to smile more if they wanted to keep working. Different names, different faces, but the same pattern. And in the middle of all that pain stood Malcolm. He became the quiet example. A warning. A memory. A talented young man with so much promise, who eventually became a ghost in an industry that once couldn't get enough of him. But the most powerful reaction didn't come from the insiders, it came from the fans. Thousands began sharing memories of watching The Cosby Show growing up. Families sitting together, laughing, learning, bonding over the characters. Little black boys trying to copy Theo's cool walk, young girls crushing on his smile, parents proud to see a positive image of a black teenager on TV. But now, many of those same fans were facing a painful truth: they loved the character, but they never truly knew the man. And that realization hit hard. A hashtag began to trend, "Flowers for Malcolm." Not because he needed attention, but because people finally understood it was time. Time to give him his due. Time to say sorry for cheering while never really seeing him. Time to stop confusing the actor with the role. And most of all, time to give Malcolm-Jamal Warner the recognition and love he always deserved. Eddie Griffin didn't just open a conversation. He tore down a wall. He showed the world that Malcolm wasn't just a teen heartthrob from the 80s. He was a thoughtful artist, a quiet fighter, and a man who tried to rise above the system that failed him. This story isn't just about one man. It's about every black artist who gave their heart to the industry and got silence in return. Every creative soul who was told to be grateful, to stay quiet, to not rock the boat. It's about the emotional scars we never see until it's too late. Malcolm deserved peace. He deserved respect. And now, finally, he's getting it. Maybe not in the way he should have, but it's not too late for us to listen, to learn, and to do better. Let's make sure his story wakes us up. Let's make sure his silence wasn't for nothing. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a story. Celeb Nova will have it all covered for you. Thanks for watching, fam. Stay real, stay respectful in the comments, and remember, sometimes silence isn't peace, it's preparation. See y'all in the next video. This is Celeb Nova, where the drama ends and the truth begins.